Hello, my name is Madison Dean, and I am in Intro to Speech Communication for the summer semester. I'm going to be doing my informative speech today over surgical oncology. So this is where my speech is going to begin. Are you always a person who says that your life stinks or nothing ever goes your way? Well, that's not true, because if you have never ever been diagnosed with any illness or any disease or any cancer, that is false. Only because brain cancer, which is surgical oncology, is a very dangerous situation. Over 20 people get diagnosed with either cancer or a tumor each week, which that's too many people. 20 too many, okay? That's what I always say, 20 too many. So that's why I'm here to talk about surgical oncology. So surgical oncology is brain surgery. It cures brain tumors, which can also be called brain cancer. There are many different types of brain cancers. It just depends on what location your brain, like what location of the brain that your tumor is in. It just all depends on where that is to depend on what tumor you have in the brain. But the only reason why, you're probably wondering, why do I need to know this? I do not need to know this whatsoever. I'm only giving you the information because it is a great thing to know, just in case. So I have actually been affected. My mom was diagnosed with brain tumor when I was in the 3rd grade, and I didn't know it was going to affect me so badly, but it did. It ruined my life. I was always so worried about her. And I've always, when you're sitting in the doctor's office and you're like, I do not know what these doctors are saying, because they always use those big long words. Well, that is why I'm here. And today I'm not going to be talking specifically about like brain tumors and brain cancer. I'm going to be talking about how they cure the brain cancer. Okay, so that is what surgical oncology is, okay? So surgical oncology is brain surgery. There are many types of brain surgeries, such as chemotherapy, endonasal surgery, or endocrine. And there are different severities of the surgeries. It goes from chemo to endonasal to endocrine. Those are the main severity levels of the surgeries. But as you can see in my slide, it is brain surgery. It can be held in a different situation, but again, it just depends on where in the brain your tumor is, okay? All right, so number one way of brain surgery is chemotherapy. Everybody's like, chemotherapy is so dangerous, oh my goodness. Oh no, chemotherapy is probably one of the safest, most easiest cures for brain cancer. So chemotherapy helps like any other cancer in the body. Just because your cancer is in the brain doesn't mean that the chemotherapy will not work. The Cancer Treatment Center does a very great job of describing the way the chemotherapy works for brain cancer / tumors. So chemotherapy, it shrinks the tumor inside of your brain, which slowly will resolve itself and go away, which I think is an amazing thing. I love that. So chemotherapy is one of the number ones. Now, there are some chances where chemotherapy will resolve the problem and it will take care of everything, or it won't. So if it doesn't, that's more of the negative side of it. But the doctors and the surgeons just go to plan B and plan C, which plan B is going to be endonasal surgery. So endonasal surgery is when the surgeons / doctors go through your nose. They send a camera and the like a suction tube up through your nose, up to your optic nerve, right in the middle of your brain, and that's where they start the whole entire surgery, and then they find their way to towards the tumor. Now, that sounds painful and it sounds very dangerous, but it is in the middle between the 3 different types of surgeries and the cures for brain tumors or / cancers. But endonasal, I believe, is probably the safest because it is going through the nose and it's not cutting anything. It's just like a little suction tube and a camera so the doctors can see, and they take the part of the tumor out. But the only bad thing about endonasal surgeries is that they can't get a whole tumor at once. They have to do multiple to be able to get the whole tumor out of the brain. So it has its pros and its cons, but I still recommend endonasal surgery. Now, plan C, if chemotherapy doesn't work, is the endocrine surgery. So the endocrine surgery is personally my favorite because I love surgical everything. Endocrine surgery is when they actually cut open the scalp and they go to the location of the tumor inside of the brain, which is a very dangerous situation because they can either puncture the brain or they can hit a vein and it will cause a big brain bleed. But it is also harder to recover from the other surgeries. So that's why I don't personally recommend it, but it's okay because each surgery does have its pros. It also has its cons because, it is the medical field, but it also has a lot of pros also. So that, Dr. Raymond Gorgon, he is a researcher / surgeon for brain cancer. And he states in his article on his hospital page that he posts every week, he states that endocrine surgeries are dangerous, but they are most effective. And if your family member is trying to persuade you to say no, then they're caring about themselves and not for you. And that really stuck to me because I was like, wow, that is true. So I was like, that's pretty cool. So after I read that, I read the rest of his article because I thought it was amazing. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Now, here's the thing. You're probably still wondering, why in the world do I need to know this? Only because I believe that knowing your medical terms and such as, the long doctor words, as what people will call it, I think that is very important because, especially during these days, you never know what's going to come on your way in the future. So it is great to know these things. So if something does happen, you're like, oh, I know that. And that's what happened with me after my mom was diagnosed. I started researching and I made sure that I knew what needed to happen at what time. So brain tumor is a very dangerous situation and a very tedious situation. And it is hard to recover from, but it is possible to recover from it. So thank y'all for listening, and I hope everybody has a great rest of your summer and stay safe. Thank you. Bye-bye.